I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mamie, for hosting us here. This is wonderful. And I want to thank you all for being here. Because what we're doing here tonight matters. You know, you could have, this is a great place to be, but you could have stayed at home and watched TV or worked on the house and let other people take care of politics. But you didn't. Because you believe, as I do, that real democracy, where everyone votes and everyone's vote counts, is important. And it's not just important, it's absolutely vital for the future of our country. And that's why I'm here tonight. You know, a lot of people have become cynical about our political system. They look at the power of special interests, they look at the influence of corporations, they look at the lack of accountability, and they say, well, what can I do? I can't change this. But we can change this. As Americans, we are free to choose our own destiny. Just look around here. When the Constitution says, we the people, it is talking about us, all of us. As Americans, we have the right to make our own decision and the responsibility to make sure that those decisions get done. So if you, like me, are angry about the war in Iraq, if you're concerned that we're still dependent upon foreign oil, if you're worried about the millions of people without health insurance, or if you're outraged that even after 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina, we still can't respond adequately to an emergency in one of our own cities, then you know that we need change now. You know, other generations have faced challenges. My grandfather was an Army chaplain. He served in World War I and he was gassed. But he survived and went on to raise 4 children into the Depression. My father was an Army paratrooper in World War II. He was a munitions expert. And he fought in the Pacific and then had to stay on for the occupation and reconstruction of Japan. Those were challenges that another generation faced. Well, we have challenges that we need to face. And rather than ignore them or push them down the road for another generation to tackle, we need to face them head on now. And I want to talk about 2 of those challenges. The first is energy. We all know that we need to be off of petroleum and onto renewable alternatives. And when I look around the world and say, well, which country has the talents and the resources and the ability to make this change, it's clearly the United States. But we're not leading. And that's a problem because even though we have the talents and the resources, what we lack is leadership in Washington. You know, when JFK led the nation for the Apollo program of missions to the moon, he told the country this. He said, we choose to go to the moon and do the other things in this decade, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Well, getting off petroleum is going to be hard. But we can do it. And we have to do it. Because it's important for our national security, it's important for our economy, and it's important for our environment. It's important for our national security because for more than 20 years, our policy has been that access to Persian Gulf oil is a vital national security interest of the United States. That's our policy. Now, if we truly want to be less involved in the Persian Gulf and Iraq, we have to change that policy. Our policy should be that developing renewable alternatives is a vital national security interest of the United States. That should be our policy. It's an economic issue because do we want to be importing solar power systems and wind machines and other technologies from elsewhere? Or do we want to be making them here? You know, the first solar panel was made in 1952 at Bell Labs. And in 1998, 80% of solar equipment was made in the United States. Now we're number 4. Behind Germany, Japan, and China. That's not a good trend. We need to be leading here. And then it's an environmental issue. We are experimenting with the world's climate. And since it's the only planet we have, we should really take aggressive action to stop global warming. When our grandchildren look back and know what we knew, they'll wonder why we weren't able to take action. So we need to lead in this new energy economy so that we can continue to lead in the global economy. And that's the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. Our leadership in the global economy is critical for our standard of living and for what we'll do for employment and our children and our grandchildren will do for jobs. But we're facing some serious challenges from China and from India and from around the world. And we need to face those challenges to take care of our future. You know, not too long ago I did an exercise where I took the annual report from General Motors from 1996 and I compared it to the annual report from Toyota from 1996. Now back in 1996, General Motors was making money. They were doing well. And if you look at their annual report from that year, it talked about things like increasing their dividend, buying back stock, instituting some cost-cutting measures. If you looked at the Toyota annual report, their number one thing was that they wanted to be the world leader in automotive technologies. And that year, 1996, was the first year that they put out a hybrid car. Now, 10 years on, who do we think had the right strategy? Well, I don't want us to be the General Motors of nations, where 10 years from now we're saying, hey, what happened to that great economy we used to have? What happened to that technological leadership? Where did that go? We need to take action on several fronts to take care of our future. One is that we need to be investing aggressively in research and development so that we can maintain our technological lead. And then the other is that we can't be putting our middle class at the mercy of the international trading system. We have to make sure that trade works for everyone. And there's several parts to that. One is our healthcare system. Today, people change jobs many times. And every time you change jobs, that's an opportunity to lose your health insurance or perhaps go bankrupt because you have a healthcare problem. We need to have a healthcare system that's universal and portable so that we can move forward in this 21st century. There's retirement security. Every time you change jobs shouldn't be a chance to put your retirement at risk. We have to give people lots of options to be able to save for their retirement. And then also we have to preserve Social Security. Because for many people, that's going to be their backup plan. And the other thing is education. And here's a quiz question. Some of you might have heard this already. But which secondary school in the United States graduated the most people who went on to win Nobel Prizes? And it's the Bronx High School of Science in the New York City public school system. We know how to do good public education. Universal public education got its start here in New England. We just have to recommit ourselves to making sure that it's excellent and available to everybody. Now, one thing I've had to confront as I've moved forward here is the issue of experience. And it's true, I am not a career politician. Unlike John Sununu, I haven't spent the bulk of my life, adult life, as a Washington insider. But if you look at what Washington insiders have brought us, the war in Iraq, tax cuts that have increased our debt and our grandchildren's debt to China, an energy policy that continues our dependency on foreign oil, maybe it's not so bad not being a Washington insider. One thing I think I can offer is a diversity of experiences. I grew up in a middle-class household and I went to public school. I know how important public school is for our economic advancement. I'm a doctor. I've worked in a public hospital, a private hospital, and a VA hospital. I've seen our healthcare system from many different sides. And I know that we have to have a system that's going to be universal and portable, but I also know there are many things about our healthcare system that I like, including our high-tech care and our innovation, so we want to be careful about how we change our system. I was in the Air Force Reserve for 8 years. I have some military experience. I think we need some more of that in Congress. I can't believe that we went off on this Iraq endeavor without thinking it through or estimating what it might cost. It's been a tragic mistake for our country. And then once it happened, we didn't support the people adequately who were there. We're going to have an orderly withdrawal from Iraq. But also, realistically, we're going to be living with the aftermath of this for many years to come. I've co-taught a course on Homeland Security, and I'm on a medical response team. The country I grew up in was good at emergency response. And like you, I can't believe that we couldn't respond adequately to a hurricane in one of our own cities. We need to restore that capability. And it's important not just for terrorism, but for bird flu or natural disasters. I'm a scientist. I do research. and I work on research grants. I worry that our political system has become more about what you can get people to believe rather than on what's true. You know, there are no Republican facts or Democratic facts. They're just facts. And we can differ on how to interpret those facts, but we shouldn't be debating the facts themselves. And science is about facts. And then I was an astronaut. I'm an astronaut. And you might wonder, well, what does that have to do with running for the Senate? Well, there are really three things. One is it taught me about teamwork. You know, the shuttle only has 7 people on board, but it takes thousands of people to get the space shuttle into space. And we're going to have to work together if we're going to solve the problems that are facing us. The space program is also about inspiration. You know, I'm sure you've seen countless pictures of the space shuttle taking off. And it's an inspiring and powerful symbol of our technological excellence and our drive for exploration. But imagine if we devoted to our energy problem the same drive and determination that we invested in the Apollo program to the moon. In no time at all, we would be heating our homes and powering our cars and running our businesses with safe, renewable energy. And then the last thing the space program is persistence. You don't get to be an astronaut if you're willing to take no for an answer. And I can promise you that I'm in this race to win, and I want to bring new leadership for New Hampshire to the United States Senate. Thank you very much, and I'd be happy to take any questions.